Hello everyone and welcome to TaylAir videos. I'm Chris. I'll be a pilot today. I've been trying to work out how to start this video series and what exactly to do, and nerves have gotten the best of me each and every time. So I've decided I'm just going to jump in the cockpit and have a fly and bring you guys along for the ride, and we'll take it from there. So today we're going to fly the Aerolite 103 payware aircraft, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. And we're going to take it for a fly from my local airfield at Sherburn, maybe have a little fly over Selby and back in for a landing. Let's go. Okay, and here we are, parked at the gate at Sherburn-In-Elmet airfield, and this is the Aerolite 103. Tiny little aircraft. Apparently doesn't need a license to fly, or at least it doesn't in America. And it's classed as a microlight, but it is a tiny little plane, and it's awesome. The best thing about it is just the sheer amount of visibility that you get sat in the cockpit. I mean, one of the first things that I did with Microsoft Flight Simulator was try and find my house. And it's all very well and good in a Cessna, you know, you can just about catch it, but the speed is just a little too high. With this thing, you can just float around and explore the scenery and do things like find your house very, very easily, which is what makes it fantastic. So it's well worth a buy. I really do recommend it. It's great fun to fly, even though you're not going very fast and you're not getting anywhere very quickly. Anyway, let's get in the cockpit and get this thing started up. So first thing we're going to do is switch on the ignition key, and then we're going to go for the master ignition on, and we're going to go alternator on. We're going to turn the fuel on, prime it, and hit start. Whoa, okay, oh, hit the brakes. Starting to roll away with us there. Okay. So there we are. Check the control surfaces. Look good. Rudder looks good. So we're going to use runway 28 left, which is a tarmac runway. There's actually 3 grass runways in a triangle at Sherburn. We're just going to use the tarmac one for simplicity. So we'll assume that's the runway in use today. Runway 28 is up this taxiway here and up to the left. We're going to assume that the airport's unmanned. I'm not going to be doing any ATC or anything like that, or any call outs. We're just going to go for a VFR flight, forget the radio for today. Okay, let's jump in the cockpit. Let's get going. That big fuel station stuck in the middle there, we'll have to go around that. Okay, there we go. Down the taxiway. Now, one amusing thing here that we can see is actually the textures of all the planes that usually park on the grass have been imprinted in the grass, in the textures there. So in terms of my setup, I'm using an old Saytech X52 joystick and throttle. No pedals. So my rudder control is somewhat jerky because I'm using the joystick twist to do that. What I've also done is there's a twisty knob, a radial on the throttle itself, and I actually use that for rudder as well. That's easier to use in flight. The beauty of that is that I can input a little bit of rudder, say on the takeoff rudder, and leave it there, and then once I'm up I can correct that, rather than having to hold it on the stick and also use that to control the aircraft. That's a little bit complicated and it makes for really wobbly flight. Okay, so we're coming up for 28 right and we're going to go straight across to 28 left. It's about 7:30 in the morning on the sim. few clouds, very little wind, which is what we want. Okay, here we go. Turn onto the runway. So this is Sherburn-In-Elmet airfield, which is near Selby in North Yorkshire, England. Okay, right, here we go. Let's get her up. So just being careful with that rudder there, because we get a little bit of yaw as we power up. Nothing major, but it is definitely there. And at 40 we're just going to lift the nose and up we go. And we'll just keep it along the runway heading for the moment. And we can see Sherburn-In-Elmet village dead ahead, and there's Church Fenton just off to the left. And what you're supposed to do on flying patterns with runway 28 left-hand patterns, is you're actually meant to alter your heading slightly and fly between the two villages. The thing I don't know in an Aerolite is, do you fly the same patterns as you would in a Cessna? It just seems to me that it takes an awful long time to get anywhere in this, and would that necessarily be the right thing to do? What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn left before Church Fenton, which is just there on our right now. There's Church Fenton, and I'm going to head south down the train tracks here, and these train tracks will pass or cross the A63, which runs right into Selby. So we're going to fly down to that, and then we're going to follow the A63 into Selby. Now I've got a map, a third-party map software that shows where I'm going, so it's a little bit of a cheat, but it's useful when you don't know your way around, and I imagine you'd take a chart with you if you were going to go flying. So we're looking out now for the A63. I'm wondering... Okay, there's Monk Fryston, and there's the A63 heading east towards Selby, so that's where we're going to turn now. And you can just see the visibility that you get from this aircraft. You can see every field, every house, every tree. It's absolutely marvellous. We can see the A63 below us there. You get a real sensation of actually flying with this aircraft. Okay, right, that's the A63. So I'm just going to follow this now. So I've got it trimmed out. There we go. Trim up a little. Okay, so now we're heading towards the village of Hambleton, which is down there, but you can't see it because of the glare of the sun. And it's a beautiful day for a fly. Okay, there's the village of Hambleton. And it really is remarkable. You can tell that it's Hambleton. There are some little things, maybe. This building here is the Owl Hotel, and it's not a bad representation of the Owl Hotel. But this building after it here is actually just a one-storey off-licence shop that has become a block of flats. Just bearing right here with the A63 as we come round. So now, after Hambleton, I believe there is a roundabout, and from that roundabout you can either carry straight on the A63 and go around Selby, or we can turn left and we can head directly into Selby itself. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hang a left at this roundabout, which is just there, I believe. There it is. So off to the right is the A63, Selby bypass, and sorry, off to the right up there, and off to the left towards Selby itself. That's what we're going to do. So you get the option of switching your view to this slightly closer view so you can see your dials, because from the standard view they're a little bit small, or at least they are on my screen anyway. And then you have this sort of slightly behind to the left view, which is quite nice. Okay, this is Thorpe Willoughby we are flying over now. And again, that scenery is just remarkable. All seems very, very familiar. We've got the railway line here and where it crosses Leeds Road. And we've got Campies of Selby down there, the truck company. We can see all the trucks. Flat textures, but we can see them nonetheless. And we're just going to carry on down Leeds Road. Okay, we have the sports field coming up down here. It's the rugby club and the Selby Archery Club as well, which is this building here. Watch out for flying arrows. Okay, so we're not too far off Selby now. I think we see the power station actually out there. Looks like 3 tower blocks rather than a power station. Oh dear, never mind. Okay, so yeah, here we are. So that's Selby Leisure Centre down there. And Selby Football Club there as well, the football field. Sainsbury's and Selby Abbey, which used to be a block of flats before the UK update, and now it's auto-generated. It's not one of the major landmarks, but it is nice to see it, and it really does look very, very good. I'm very impressed with that model. There's the toll bridge over the River Ouse, so we're going to come back now and fly back towards Sherburn. Sapori's Italian restaurant down there, best restaurant in Selby in my opinion. Shout out to Sapori's. I'm not sure how they've done during the lockdown and everything. I hope they have managed to stay in business, because they are tremendous. I think the first meal I'm going to have when we can all go back out into shops and restaurants, back into restaurants, is Sapori's. Okay. Welcome to Selby, everyone. I'm a bit disappointed with that power station over there, looking like 3 blocks of flats. It's always nice when you get a little bit of altitude and you realise it's actually a very countrified area. You just don't really appreciate it, I guess, when you're used to living in a place. But there's a lot of lovely countryside around here, and this is a great way to explore it. Virtually, anyway. Okay, Fort Willoughby again, out to the left. Leeds Road. And I'm just keeping an eye out for the airfield just in the distance. Should be just slightly off to the right. Yes, I think I can see it actually. I follow these train tracks here. Yeah, there's Campies again. So if I follow these train tracks, it should just be up here to the right. Yeah, and I can see the airfield. It's out there. And there's our runway. Good. Okay, so landing this thing is interesting. I've had a few interesting experiences trying to put this thing down. It slows down massively once you drop the flaps, and the approach is fine, but what I tend to find is when I pull the power off and go into the flare, it just drops like a rock. So I often find myself quickly putting power back on as the wheels are approaching the ground, and I haven't quite nailed that sweet spot of speed versus power and descent rate and just touching it down. So I'm going to try my best, but this might be a bit of a rough landing. Water treatment works there. Nice. Look at the poo. Okay. Oh, you can see why this aircraft is just great for exploring, you know, those bits of scenery that you really want to take a look at, because you're just floating along. We're doing 60 knots. So I'm not even going to throttle down really. I'm just gonna fly to the runway and then drop the power in the flaps. I don't see any point in slowing down until we're almost there, to be honest. But I've never flown a microlight, so if anyone can tell me any different, please do. Leave a comment, let me know what I'm doing right or what I'm doing wrong. Okay, so we're on our approach now. That looks good. Okay. I'm going to throttle down now and put the flaps out, and then I'm going to get back on the power quick because it will slow down fast. Flaps down, back on the power. Okay, and that's about where we want to be for a landing speed, I think. About 30 knots. So I'm using power for glide slope. So if I'm feeling I'm too low, I'm adding power. I'm not pulling back on the stick, because all pulling back on the stick will do is slow me down more. It's a bit counterintuitive at first, but you soon get used to it. Power for altitude or glide slope, and stick or more properly trim for your speed on approach. Okay, can I make this a smooth landing? Oh, I don't know. So we land after these arrows. Okay, that feels good, and we're doing 32 knots, 33 knots. So I'm pulling back on the power slightly, but not too much, because it just sinks when you do that. Okay, here we go. Flare, power. Oh, yes. That was a bit better than usual. Okay, let's get those flaps up, and we'll just take her down the runway and get clear of the runway. Squeaky brakes. I used to have a car that made that sound when you press the brakes. It was a heap. Right, here we go. And we're clear of the runway. Right, and taxi back to the ramp. So there you go, there's a little aerial tour of Selby. Not exactly Las Vegas. Stick with me, I'll show you all the best places. Aerial tour of Selby, no problem. Stick with me. Hit like, hit subscribe. You know you want to. So yeah, I don't know what how this video series is going to develop. I have no real clear vision as such, but I'm hoping that maybe if a few people like it and leave comments, perhaps I can take some inspiration from them, some guidance, maybe follow some suggestions. But I'm just going to do some flights, enjoy doing those flights, and share them with you. I'm reasonably capable with the sim. I'm not a pilot, but I've learned quite a few things. I've picked a few things up. I'm going to get some things wrong, for sure. But even up to doing full IFR flights in airliners and things like that, yeah, I'm up for that. I think the next flight I do, well, I'm not sure. I'll either do a longer point-to-point VFR flight or possibly a point-to-point IFR flight. We'll see. For those of you that don't know, VFR is Visual Flight Rules, whereby you fly your aircraft with minimal contact with ATC, unless they do flight following for you, and you're responsible for your own separation in the air. IFR, you are controlled by air traffic control, and you're given directions by them, which you have to follow. And Microsoft Flight Simulator is capable of doing that, although it does have some issues. I think the biggest issues that the sim has are actually to do with air traffic control and IFR flying, from what I've seen. But hopefully they will continue to work on those and refine them a little bit. And I'm sure there'll be lots of third-party software that will come out over the next few years that'll do it as well. But yeah, we'll see. Okay, let's turn in here. So yeah, it's a shame I'm not actually landing at this airfield in real life, because the chip butties at the cafe are just awesome. Also partly responsible for the fact that I probably am too heavy to fly an Aerolite, because of the sheer amount of chip butties I've eaten at this cafe. So the cafe that looks like a warehouse. This should be a nice little cafe just here, and a fence and some picnic benches, but it isn't. And there we are. Right, parking brakes on. So we're just going to cut the fuel to shut it down. There we go. And then we're going to turn off the alternator, master ignition and master switch. And there we are. Right, so that's my first flight video for the channel, and I'm hoping to make some more. So please please subscribe if you've liked what you've seen, and we'll get some more content out to you soon. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.